Okay, and we are recording. Thank you all for coming to this great session of social distancing cinema. And we will be discussing Marathon with the directors here and David. So David, feel free to take it away whenever you would like.
Okay, thank you, Alexa. Keith and Anthony, the directors, welcome. I appreciate your coming and participating in this goofy little project we have here in Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
Keith,
Cool.
I understand you are originally from Virginia. Would it be the northern part?
No, I don't associate with the Nova types. I'm in. I know. I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So I was a beach bum down near the coast.
Okay, I don't get down there very often. Well, when the pandemic began, Oddball Cinema switched from showing movies in local libraries. We used to love getting a group together and showing a movie and discussing it. But when the pandemic began, we switched all our events online. And because I am retired and the other organizers actually work for a living, I had the most time. And so I picked out almost every movie that we've shown for social distancing cinema, which means I've had to watch a lot of movies to pick out movies that are both odd and good. Fortunately, yours met both criteria. I really enjoyed it. I think of it as sort of an ode or an homage to cluelessness. I mean, the characters in it are clueless about subjects as diverse as arithmetic, nutrition, racism, and of course, marathons. So both of you are, in addition to being directors, writers. So I want to ask you, what inspired this story?
Well, you write what you know, right, David? So apparently Anthony and I are both clueless. To a number.
But you have a deep understanding of cluelessness. I admire this.
We a lot of research, we wanted to really get into the depths of how much we don't know, right? Anthony and I had been, we started doing sketches, and the sketches led to a pilot, and we eventually started writing features together. But a lot of our features required someone to cut a check. My summer job in Virginia Beach was at my uncle's ramshackle jet ski rental company. And so we had a script that won best comedy in the Stage 32's competition. We had a round of meetings, but we got the sense that no one was going to cut us a check for $60 million with jet skis flying off of ramps in water. Like it just, everyone was just, sort of taking the meeting to take the meeting. And Anthony and I were kind of sick of waiting on a phone call that may never come. We had always we love, shooting stuff, taking a script, and it's a different type of writing too, because then you're personally responsible for every word you put on the page. If you write it, you got to go find it, whatever it is. If someone's holding something in their hand, a character has a prop, you got to go find that prop. But we decided to actually write a script that we could shoot ourselves. So we knew we approximately had, we were trying to keep it like $30,000, $50,000. So you're writing towards a premise, okay, what can we do with those limitations? And I think a lot of times we get better ideas,
Sure.
when you box yourself in and you give yourself restrictions and boundaries. You're like, okay, this is our sandbox. Now, how do we play in this sandbox? And I, had the unfortunate privilege. I was an MVP and cross-country captain for 2 years against my will in high school. So I was
against your will.
Yeah, I was a basketball player, and my mom was a PE teacher, and she was friends with the cross-country coach, who was also a PE teacher. So they guilt-tripped me, roped me into doing this, and I was like a prisoner in running shoes, where I was. It's weird to be fast and hate running, like to where there's no even if you finish first, it's like, all right, coach, what do I do now? Well, go run some more. Okay, great. Right. There's no incentive to running, being fast and practice. So I was just doing it to get in shape for basketball season. But then you're around all these runners and they're nuts. Like their entire personality, culture, what they wear, what they eat, who they hang out with, it all surrounds running, and it is cultish. So we thought it was a really great group or community to poke fun at, or twist the knife a little bit. But Anthony, do you want to jump in there? I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
No. I'm just like to have the opposite perspective. I'm basically like the Emma Lou of the group. Like I would just quit right away. The only time I ever run is like when I trick myself. Basically, I play a lot of sports. Like Keith, I played sports growing up, but I would never voluntarily just run for running's sake. So we both have those different perspectives, what I thought helped the film.
Well, I appreciate the cultish nature of serious runners. I've seen them wearing shirts that say, "My sport is your sport's punishment."
Right.
So they embrace the agony.
Runners love their shirts, right? Like they love those cheesy, slogan, catchphrase. They wear their heart on their sleeve, I guess. But.
Yeah, I'm quite the opposite. If you send me one of your printed shirts, I will then own 2 T-shirts with print on them. The other one is the Moscow subway system.
Well, we're in good company then.
I think it may be true for other sports too. I'm a rower, and I feel it. I know what you're saying. It's a cult and the culture, and there's so much in their bubble, especially the elite rowers, who in the past a lot of them have been runners. By the way, it's like either runner or rower, and it's really really like absorbing of all your time and your love and passion and attention. Yeah.
What's the connection from running to rowing? Because that doesn't seem like a easy
overall fitness. I think with age, as your knees start giving out, and you just can't run anymore, maybe, but you're still very fit and your heart is still really strong. Like a lot of people on my team are 50s, even 60s.
Oh wow.
Rowing does not put a whole lot of pressure on your knees, so that's why. I mean, they're skinny, tall, typically, and there you go, a very good fit. So you'd be very good fit if you ever want to try
that makes sense. I mean, now that I think about it, I know a lot of runners who had knee problems and they ended up becoming cyclists too. I think, just to take it a little bit easier on those knees and shins.
Right. Yeah. Well, with rowing, you have to have equipment. So you have to have a club of some kind, of access to boats or a team. So it's not as easy. Like you have to be in a location where it's even possible. Whereas cycling, I could totally see that. Sorry, I butted it, David.
No, please do. I don't like these sessions to be all me and nobody else. But I do have another question, and that is, I see the movie is listed on IMDb as 2021. When did you shoot this?
Hold on, David. When do you think we shot it?
I'm curious because it would be hard.
Were there any? There's clues in the movie to the actual filming dates. For example, we didn't blur out the date on the check, the big oversized dole check. There is a date on there.
You're gonna have to watch it again.
No one's caught it that we didn't blur it out.
Okay, I certainly did not catch it. And of course, I understand that if you print up a fake check for a movie, it doesn't have to have the right date on it. So even if I read the date, I wouldn't necessarily, associate it with the time that you shot the movie. But did you shoot it pre-pandemic?
We did. We shot it in May of 2018.
2018, yeah.
That's what I figured. Because you have too many outdoor scenes that it'd be very difficult to shoot during the pandemic.
Yeah, we shot. What'd you say, Anthony? It was like 40.
We also had way too much footage. It took us forever to edit 60 hours of footage.
Yeah, Yeah, so we had a loose, we had a loose shooting style where we have very talented improv actors. When you have talented improv actors, you want to give them room to work. And a lot of times that means, all right, rolling takes. We're going to play with the scene a little bit and make sure we get every opportunity to let the actors shine. But yeah, it was May of 2018. And I was still in LA and Anthony was in Vegas. So we didn't foresee that. That was the one thing I think we didn't have a good game plan on, where I would work Monday through Friday, get in my car and then drive to Vegas, and we would edit on the weekends in Vegas. But we did that, I think, 35 times over the course of almost 2 years. And the tricky thing with Marathon too is, I mean, we were smart about the 5 different storylines and we didn't want them to intersect. That way we could, in terms of our shooting, we could be one-on-one with the actors. So it opened up flexibility in the production schedule. But now when you're actually editing, now you have to intercut 5 different storylines and sequence them all, right? Balance them all out. That was a tricky editing
cards
task.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What is the location? What was the location?
The filming location
California?
was in and around Las Vegas. Anthony and I both went to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. That was the actual physical location. But in terms of the narrative, we had decided we wanted to be a fictional town, like a Barstow, somewhere in between. We were never going to say it was supposed to be any place, anywhere, desert town, USA, that was going to fall on a map somewhere between LA and Las Vegas. But we didn't.
It looked very, very cool. Actually, the marathon scenes and the mountains in the background is very pretty.
Cool.
I thought I liked how that nobody had a clue how many kilometers. The regional distance is a kilometer. So.
Anthony, do you want to tell the Red Rock story? The devil, like, kind of explain the Devil's Canyon.
Are you talking about like the permit stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, permitting was tough because we tried to get a permit in Red Rock, and I think it was like 2 years. You have to get a permit 2 years in advance. Also, I think it was like super expensive, and we were shooting like a few weeks later. So yeah, we ended up finding, I think it was like Blue Diamond? Blue Diamond, which population is like 20 people, probably more like donkeys than there are people. But on one side, like you see the gorgeous Red Rock Canyon, and then the other side you see like there's a small park that's where we actually got the permitting loophole. That was actually a Clark County park that we're able to shoot from that standpoint, right? And
so you have like a national park, and then on the backside there's this one little small town that is surrounded by the park, but the town is still Henderson County or whatever. It's still part of, what's that?
It's Clark County.
Clark County, right? So it's a weird little anomaly in terms of zoning, and so we used that to our advantage to be able to point the camera one way so you can just see the desert vista or the mountain vista, and then we did cheat. Then we would go into kind of the backside of the mountains where we knew that there weren't going to be a lot of park rangers, and just disappear into the trails. And so it's all matched up, right? But no one's ever said anything about our big marathon day was all the starting line, finishing line. And this is kind of a fun story. All the runners that take off and go, we just told them to bring another set of clothes, and they became the spectators waiting for the people to come finish. So you're using, your extras to just flip it on, and they're serving 2 purposes. But
That's how you stay in budget. Yeah,
for sure.
But so everything with that arch, like Arch Day was all starting line, finish line. That was big marathon day. But then on separate days, we would go disappear into trails that was completely on a different location, a different part of the park, and it just happened to all cut together. That was, it was a challenge, but I think it all worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any problems with passersby or unexpected noises or other interruptions while you were shooting outdoors?
I mean, part of the documentary style is sometimes it adds. right? Like I think when Ryan O'Brien is doing his first intro speech in the woods, there's a couple walking behind him and that are kind of walking, and those are just random people. That when Jimmy's doing his Vista speech and the cyclist ruins the view, that's just a random person. So sometimes it helps to have these people just show up. Another time that was poor planning on our part. Anthony, you want to tell the?
What's the police part? Are you talking about the Sharif?
No. The Kimmy, it was the last scene. It was the last day. Day 15, we were trying to shoot the movie theater where Emmylou Kimia runs into Brian and she's eating popcorn, but it was in the flight path of the Las Vegas airport. So every 6.5 minutes, a plane's flying over. And so we
also tried to get permitting. Remember, we tried to get permitting from them, and they're like, well, "We'll have to talk to corporate." We're like, "Okay, let's never talk to them ever again."
Yeah. So then we just went to the parking lot and just filmed. But yeah, a plane would fly over every 6 minutes and ruin the take. So we knew it had to compress it, But that was we could have done a better job of understanding the flight path of all the planes coming into Vegas.
Yeah. You had a lot of geographic details to deal with producing this movie. But I want to switch to something else. I taught English many years ago, and I love weird little bits of wordplay. The young mother who's competing, the one whose arrival was the one whose training was interrupted by the arrival of her son. Her son is named Miles. I love the irony in that.
Yeah, we had fun with one of my old closest friends. His name's Mike Williams, and his son is named Miles. So there was a Michael and a Miles that I knew, but I mean, it also fits perfectly into the film. If you think about a lot of the character names, even Abby, is anagram the word I'm looking for? Abby can be spelled baby. Abby baby, so we wanted to play with that. Dozier, we wanted to play with dozing, sleep. So a lot of the names do have some parallel to the character as well. But we spent a long time on the names, but yeah, no, I'm glad you picked up on Miles, Abby, a lot. We had a lot of fun with those character names.
And Sharif has a great line. She's a triathlete, and I just try.
Just try. That's totally me. Just try.
The individual actors, they just did wonderful things with these characters. They made them come to life. I forget all of their names, but the guy who winds up injuring himself, and he's just grousing and harassing all the runners as they go by. I know people like that. Oh, gee, he got that role right down. And of course, Kimmy, who says the way to win a marathon is not to start. That's how I feel about marathons.
The cast is terrific. I mean, we've always said that if you're going to shoot a mockumentary, you live and die by your cast, and you have, and then a number of directors have always said, right, what's the two most, write a good script, cast it, and then get the hell out of the way. Yeah. That was sort of our philosophy. We wanted to put our talented actors, and we did spend a long time to make sure we got the right people for the roles. Like, we were scouting every single improv show or open mic night, trying to get people on the cusp of, not stardom, but before they had agents and managers. And a lot of the people came from Vegas, talented comedic performers like Jimmy Slonina, who everyone compares to Wally Cox. He's the race director, but Jimmy opened for Pink. So when Pink, the singer Pink, is touring, he would go to these large arenas and just come out. No one's there to see him, but now he has to. I don't know how many people show up to 20,000. Like, these are arenas, and he is just one person who now has to get the crowd ready and rile them up. But he was also on America's Got Talent. He's a Cirque performer. Like, so a lot of these performers come from Vegas, like the show Absinthe, which is known as it's kind of like a carnival Cirque, a little bit, not, what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, more comedy.
Yeah, kind of an R-rated Cirque show But Anais Tomasian, who plays Abby, the mother, she and her husband, Voki, they started absent. I mean, and then Mark Roberts, who plays her husband in the film, he's part of the Blue Man group. He's a Blue Man. So we have very talented Vegas performers who don't get a chance to do a lot of film work because they're coming from the stage. But no, we were glad. And then once you meet one of them and you tell them what you're doing, they're, oh, you have to meet so and so, and that's how it worked. They kept introducing us to other people. And while we were scouting in Vegas, we were also scouting in LA. So Ryan O'Brien, who you mentioned, is played by Andrew Hansen, and a phenomenal improviser. One of the few people I've ever seen to be able to improvise, stay in character, and advance story and advance his own character arc too. Sometimes with improv, it just veers too far off. It's funny, but it's either weird or goofy, and it's not, it doesn't fit your narrative. But Andrew was so strong at staying in character and pushing story. It's like I said, one of the few improvisers who I've seen who can do that. And I think his mother is an English professor, or was an English professor, so he brought a great diction to a great vocabulary to that character with his insults and it was the perfect fit.
Did you have any?
Oh, no, sorry. No, Ekaterina, you go first. I just wanted to ask, I didn't know if it's okay if I jump in to ask a question, but something Keith said sparked, as the host, I'm like, oh, I want to ask a question. But you go first, Ekaterina.
I don't think so. I think you should, because I already took a turn. I'll wait until you're done.
I think you should go say your questions at the same time. Same time, just let them fly.
Well, I did want to ask Keith, and I hope it's okay that I'm jumping in, David, but something that you said about them being stage performers is, would you be able to elaborate on them being stage performers and then how that translated to film? Was that like a difficult thing to direct, for them, or was that difficult for them? How was that process?
Each actor was a little bit different in terms of, trying to figure out what makes, how do we create a surrounding? How do we create a set that's best for them? In general, the old saying is that, a theater actor is gonna, project to the last seat in the house, right? It's a bigger performance, whereas film, it'll capture everything. It's more subtle, it's more nuanced. But no, I don't think the good thing is a lot of our performers, yes, they made a living as theatrical actors, but they did have film acting in their past. But I think we created an intimate set too, where a lot of it was just one-on-one with us and the actor. So, if they're just playing to us in the room, I think that kind of, scales it down as well. That's a great question though. Anthony, can you think of any moment where?
Well, I'm just thinking they also, like, if you think of a theater actor, a lot of them would go mostly just by what's written on the page, but a lot of the actors we got specialized in improv. So I think that's why we would just basically, especially with Andrew, we would just give him like the script. He would have the script of like, this is where we want to go, but you let him loose, and their improv was just amazing.
Alexa, I'll also say it helps that it's shot interview style, because that way it turns into a conversation. Like, because if I'm right next to the character, or I'm right next to the camera playing the role of interviewer, well, then it's just, I can turn it into a conversation to where he's, the actor is ignoring everything else, and he's really just having, in this case, Andrew's going to have a conversation with me, and it's not going to be that bigger, broader theatrical style. So I think the mockumentary in itself, how you shoot it, just kind of tones everything down a bit. But then again, we had like Second Banana, Roberto Rad. We told him he couldn't go big enough. We're almost poking him with a stick to go bigger sometimes, but.
Did you have any inspirational characters, or rather, what were the inspirations behind your characters? Like, how do you come up this crazed mother who's? It was just interesting for me to watch how different they all are, all different. I'm like, how do you even come up with?
That was actually all her, right? That was all Anais.
Well, we
originally wanted to cast her as the banana, and she said no. And then she, like, 2 weeks later, she's like, okay, I want to be in your movie. Like, oh, well, we already cast the banana, but like, if you have any other ideas of like what you want to do. And she just had Ori, who plays Miles in the movie. It's a real child. And so we just kind of went off, like basically let her have the reins on the storyline.
It was bumping up right into production too. We had to cut a character, well, because we knew we basically, so yeah, Anais said Anais wasn't feeling the banana character, Jenna Kowalski, and we did think Natalie was a better fit for Jenna, but we told Anais, look, we think you're hilarious. We'll do whatever it takes. We'll write you a new character. How do we get you in this film? And so then, we met with her 2 or 3 times just to talk out, and she was exhausted because she was dealing with it. And Ori, her son is playing Miles, so it's really her son in the film, but he wasn't sleeping. And then she wasn't sleeping. So all of this, we were pulling things out of her real, like the bladder issue is pulled right out of her real life, So it was a series of conversations, and then we would write a script, write a pass, send it to her, and then she'd give us feedback, and we would go back and forth. But I mean, we were writing right up until, which we don't normally do. We had never done that before, so that was a risk on our. And again, I think it paid off. Because we knew she had to be in the film. She's incredibly talented, wildly talented, and we would rather take the risk, write the script, make the changes just to get Anais in the film, and that's what we did. But no, a lot of those storylines came right from her real life. We always joke that, and anything we do, we want to have one foot on the ground in terms of reality. We don't want to stretch it. I mean, everything should, like, okay, this could possibly happen. It's it's like the rules of pool, right? When you shoot a pool, like a pool shot, you got to keep one foot on the ground. That's how we kind of view the writing style. So even like Andrew Hansen, Ryan O'Brien, it's funny, his rant at the end about Anthony always compare that to our filmmaking careers. So I feel like each character does come back to us at some point. There has to be like a version of ourselves in everything, but
Thank you. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I have to say that it's an interesting genre to watch. Probably my most favorite comedy of all time is Best in Show. It's the same genre. And it was just like, it does not matter where I started, I have to keep watching. I just think it's so great. I can quote it. So well done. So it's not, I think it's not an easy one to do right either, necessarily. So it's great. You really do depend on your actors. Yeah.
Yeah, there's there's certain scenes that, and we knew this going in when we're shooting, like there's certain scenes you have to get because it has exposition, it has the backbone, it has the narrative spine that holds the story together. And all right, this is a must get. We'll do 8, 9, 10 takes to make sure we have options. But there's other scenes where we know, like, okay, this is just icing on the cake. If we can have 3 different funny variations of this scene, and even if it doesn't play, well, okay, it's not essential. We have other funny stuff. But so it was knowing when to play, when to bear down, and get that essential scene. But the best in show story is Fred Willard, right? Where Christopher Guest told him not to learn anything about dogs because he was the commentator. So he's coming in cold and just winging it. And like we didn't believe in rehearsal either. There were too many times where Anthony and I were in film school and we would do these sketches and you do a walk through a rehearsal and your actor has the entire cast and crew in tears because it's so funny. And then you go to actually roll camera and whatever magic or thing you had, it's gone just because now you're in your 3rd or 4th take. So our rule was just we'll walk it, we'll block it in terms of, all right, where's everyone going to be? What are the motions? Go half speed. Let's just go half speed with this. Don't be funny. Don't say the lines like you're going to say them. But then as soon as we go, we roll. And sometimes we'll just keep going. But no, we wanted everything to be fresh and live and no very, very minimal rehearsal.
Thank you.
Eddie, you're muted. Is that intentional?
It was, this is the first online discussion with this group that I've participated in, so I wasn't sure how the format was going to work. So I'm just kind of here to listen to the discussion. I hope to be a little bit more involved in the next one.
Well, did you enjoy the movie?
I did. But I have to admit, I haven't seen all of it. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing it. And yeah, and I agree. I think mockumentaries, when they're well done, are just really, yeah, the best.
I haven't finished it yet either, Betty. These days I don't know how it ends.
and when they're poorly done, they are a terrible grind. I watch about 50 movies a month to choose movies for our lineup, and I've watched some real awful ones. I have this slogan I use: I watched it so you don't have to. I tell the members that.
Thank you for your
thank you. We appreciate it.
And I don't know much about marathons, no more than anyone else who's watched the Olympics once in a while on TV. I'm like the organizer who said, I never ran and never will. But I did notice something about this one, is the surface that they're running on. It looks like, to me, an absolute runner's nightmare, strewn with rocks and sticks and other hazards. Did you film it that way intentionally? But yeah, scorpions too.
Well, we thought it'd be funny just for the third act. Basically, all the runners are going out to their death. Basically, like that's the worst. Desert is like the worst possible place you can run a marathon.
And yeah, you have to put yourself in the head of Ed Clapp. Ed Clapp would throw a marathon in that environment. Some of it made sense only because what would Ed do? You know, I think Anthony and I had a conversation about, are people going to be able to follow? Because the trails don't make any sense, right? No one really knows the direction people are running. And we were like, is this going to pose a problem? And then it solved itself. We're like, no, why are we even worried about this? Of course, Ed Clapp's marathon isn't going to make sense. It's probably not even 26 miles, but no one cares because it's Ed Clapp's marathon.
I also love that the water guy is still out, and like no one came out to get the water guy. He's just like, what time is it? Like, how long am I supposed to be out?
Well, I can totally buy that they're kind of on the crazy side. All these people are a little weird because to run a marathon to begin with, I think you have to be not quite an ordinary human being. They're sending you into the desert to do it. Yeah, it's a little bit like a Navy SEAL level achievement, like, in my opinion, definitely. But what do I know? Like I said, I'd never do that. But I know plenty of rowers who are completely crazy about their sport too. That's their whole world. They will do it. So yeah, I can totally believe it. They're strange people.
Well, I agree with Ed Clapp. Marathons are boring without pyro. It's just people running.
Yeah.
So I do watch the Olympics when they come around, but I never watch the marathon.
Well, it's not much to watch, is there?
Yeah, no, it is. They are boring.
Yeah.
Unless you want to watch running.
It's not a spectator type sport. It's really for the people running, right? It's really for them.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Obviously doing penance for some crime.
What's been funny is the response from marathoners. That's been really funny. Like, it seems there's no middle ground. Absolutely no gray area. Marathoners either love this film or they absolutely hate it. It's been fun to see the
It's all the Ryan O'Briens that hate this movie.
Yeah. It's been great.
Are you going to make more mockumentaries, you think?
We hope so. For the next one, there's a documentary called Hands on a Hard Body that we really wanted to basically put our own spin and put all our own actors in there, but we'll see. I mean, it took us how long to do this one?
I'm sorry, what's it called?
Hands on a Hard Body.
Okay.
It's basically where a bunch, was it like 12 participants put their hands on a hard body truck, and the last person standing wins the truck, and it's in Texas. So it's great that it's in Texas because a truck means so much to so many people in Texas, but it's a great documentary if you haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, there was.
Sounds like an oddball, David. Sorry.
You know, Alexa, that sounds like a movie that might fit our next requirement.
Yes.
Alexa has challenged me to find a movie that we can discuss whose theme centers around resilience. And Hands on a Hard Body, if I can get it, might fit that bill.
Oh, for
That
sure.
does sound like a good fit for sure.
It's fantastic. And we would want to set it in Vegas at a third-rate dealership and use Ed Clapp would now become the dealership owner. He'd be the only carryover character. He's gotten rid of his running stores, his running shoe stores, and now he's got a lot full of lemons, you know, that we would use a Lamborghini, and so to kind of spice it up a little bit and to make it more tied to the Vegas theme. So a Lambo with about 16 people around it, improv actors. It was also the last film that Robert Altman wanted to do. So I think he wanted to do a narrative adaptation of it before he passed away, but he was down scouting in Florida for locations because it was a Broadway musical too, Hands on a Hard Body. But they've never done the narrative version. But Ekaterina, to answer your question, we would love to stay in the mockumentary because I think it fits what we do well. You know, Anthony and I have always said we do joke, story, and character in terms of what we know our strengths, right? But I mean, and the beauty of a mockumentary is no one's gonna, for the most part, no one's watching it for your cinematography. It doesn't, part of it can look a little bit rough around the edges. And that's part of the fun of it. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I don't have the patience for traditional, like, you know, if you're shooting a conversation, there's a specific way to shoot a conversation, right? You know, like over the shoulder, it just turns into, you know, you're shooting 2 pages a day, 3 pages a day, where we were shooting 8, 10, 12 with that quicker style. So I think it fits what we do. We like shooting in that style, and we get to work with, you know, improv actors where you know, it takes the story in a place where you don't know where it's going all the time, which is exciting.
Yeah, sounds exciting. Yeah, I really liked a lot of jokes. I really enjoyed the movie. I really did. I like the name of his shoe brand, the running shoe brand is Achilles. And I'm like, oh my God, this is brilliant, because do you know how many runners probably, you know, tear that Achilles tendon or have like a heel pain, like, you know, that you develop from over exercising. Like, wow, this is definitely a funny joke. Like, this is really good. So you have to be very clever about what you're doing. I think I appreciate the mockumentaries for that, because it's like, it's clever humor, like it's intelligent humor. So for me, yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you. That was all that stuff was all of those Ed Clapp scenes when he's at his desk were shot in 3 or 4 hours. Anthony, does that sound?
It was so hard to do too. So hard.
It was in his actual house, in his home office, in a very cramped room, right? So, and a film crew, even with our skeleton crew, we still probably have 8 to 10 people cramped in this room. And I know I ruined 2 or 3 takes because Jimmy did something that made me laugh, because I'm 3 feet from his face, and Jimmy, you know, I don't know if you just type in Jimmy Slonina on YouTube, you'll see all of his lip syncing videos, and he can just contort his face. I mean, he can do so many things, and when I don't know it's coming, a lot of times I have to see, and I'm saying, because as the interviewer, I have lines to say, and then I'm putting my thumb in my mouth or a pen in my mouth just so I don't laugh at what Jimmy does and ruin the tape. But those were, yeah, I mean, we flew through a lot of scenes in 4 hours in Jimmy's home office. Like, okay, here's the shoe, Jimmy. Here are the t-shirts. Here are the medals. Let's play with this.
I loved when he was talking to the detective and he suddenly breaks into this grotesque French accent, and 30 seconds later he has a grotesque Russian accent. Okay. This is very convincing to the detective. Yeah.
And that was them playing off each other too. That's what was so great about that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the script, did you actually have a note he switches accents, or he just did that?
No, I remember the shooting day, and this is why it's so great to work with talented people, right? So we knew that these two people had to have the conversation, but I remember asking Jimmy if he could do an accent, and then so we did one take where he either did the French or the Russian, and then as we're rolling through it, we also did the thing where, okay, Jimmy, tell him. Start with the 15 years and then bump up to 7, in terms of like where you're starting the story. And then we had done like 3 or 4 takes, and then we had, but again, not many. You can give this note to only, how many performers can you give this note to? Like, Jimmy, okay, what if you switch accents midway through it, and it's flawless, right? It's hilarious, like, but you can't give that note to many actors and have them execute it like Jimmy can. That was one of those things not on the page. And another, like, the arch collapsing wasn't in the script. This is a great story. We had to rent those items from real people who organize marathon events, and it was Tim, and I forget Tim's wife's name, but after 2 takes, Tim comes up with a confused look on it. He's like, "Keith, is this a comedy?" I'm like, "God, I hope so. Otherwise we're in trouble." He goes, "Well, I can make that arch collapse." And we're like, "Tim, you're hired. Yes, let's make it." So we only had like time to do 3 or 4 takes, but that was inspired by Tim Rainey, Cynthia and Tim, I think.
That's it.
But that was all Tim. The doggy door shot was Alfredo Montenegro, one of our assistant cameramen. We were unloading gear at Ryan O'Brien's Airbnb, the location, and Alfredo goes, "Oh, that's funny. There's a doggy door." And then so immediately now, because your brain's like, how can we incorporate that? Camera person gets locked outside, comes in through the door. So Anthony, tell the Heather story about the bananas.
Oh, yeah, Heather was one of our cinematographers, and she had a really funny idea of like, oh, wouldn't it? She was trying to tell me, and she was trying to whisper to me because she thought it, like, she's one of those girls that doesn't want. But it's funny because, well, Keith, you tell. I can't really. It's like so long ago.
Well, yeah, she pitched like the Lady and the Tramp banana show.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Right, where the banana couple, they're gonna finish eating and meet in the middle and kiss.
I told my husband we should try. We were watching it together, and we were like, "Yeah, let's try it." Looks as a joke.
There's no shame in that. If you want to.
No, it's just to be goofy. I liked your medal. So there are 2 guys beating each other up. We were laughing at that as well. We went to a hockey game yesterday here in DC. I'm in Northern Virginia. So we went to see the Capitals and the Dolphins play. And when it was over, 2 guys, there was a fist fight. The fist fight broke out. For a good 5 minutes, they were going at each other, and the refs just stood there and watched them and did nothing. To me, it was absolutely shocking. Like, why? What's going on? Apparently, that's okay in hockey. The game was already over, and I thought that's who those medals should go to. the hockey teams, because they really they go to each other. Like, who would have thought of creating a reward for something like that?
The funny
Ekaterina, was that your first hockey game?
No, sir. I know that it's okay. I've never seen a fist fight with like helmets flying off.
You mean gloves? Yeah. Well, you were lucky then. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, we got, extra entertainment, to be sure. But that reminded me of that, so we're joking. And the t-shirts are kind of cute too, I think. You have the marathon.
Well, yeah, I mean, what's funny though, when you do this stuff, you end up turning into Ed Clapp. We had to design the t-shirts, we had to go metal shopping. So now you're having these conversations like, okay, what's the funniest? You know, you're looking at 10 different options, narrowing it down to 5, then the 2, and I forget the other alternative we had for the medals, but it's basically me and Anthony searching and then sending each other, okay, is this, can you beat this? And then it's, all right. And it's like, usually there's one like, okay, can we beat this? And that one was pretty tough to beat in terms of the MMA fighters pounding on each other.
Yeah.
Probably the only sillier thing would have been a figure skater.
Right.
Figure skating.
Guys, I got to take a work call really quick. I'm still on the clock, so I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Oh, when he stood up, I see he actually did put on one of those shirts.
Yeah.
Well, that really is all the questions I had. I really enjoyed the movie. I watch a lot of movies, and I try to pick the best one that's recent enough that I think I can get the directors to join us. I've never been able to get Spielberg, but I'm glad I got you.
Well, thank you so much, David. No, this has been a blast. This is fun for us too. So no, this is wonderful. We always enjoy doing this. So and thank you all for watching Marathon. We appreciate that as well.
Absolutely. And actually, if I watch something fun, I go and recommend it in my company. We have a special channel that, people share, fun things to do and fun things to watch and to read. So it's definitely one of those. So give me that material.
Yeah. That's
cool.
That's
yeah,
incredible.
thank you.
Thank you so much. That's incredible.
I hope you make more.
I'll mention another movie to you because it's sort of an extreme example of what you're doing. We had a discussion of this last year. Unfortunately, the library had a calamity and almost all of our videos were lost. So the discussion is no longer available, but the movie is. It's called An Intervention, and you'll find it on our schedule. It's almost entirely improvised from the first to the last frame. The directors simply gave the actors definitions of what they were doing. Basically, there was one character who was the alcoholic, and everybody else was intervening in his life. He had the role of the sister and the best friend and the stuff like that. And they put him in a house and said, go do it. And that thing is hilarious. But I just can't, I don't know a lot about filmmaking. I never studied it, but just turning the cameras on and letting them roll for over an hour while these people just do what comes into their heads. That to me is just astonishing.
Yeah, we had in the script, the banana dinner scene was one line. It was one line, and the actor who played Jenna's father, Ron Silver, he didn't get up from he was supposed to storm off, and he didn't get up in the first take, and so we got this extended scene where now we have a toast, a proposal. So it was all improvised. And we had similar to that where we had beats like, all right, Roberto, start with the toast. He's not going to reach across the table, try to cheers. Ron, pull back. After that, you're gonna propose. And so we knew we had these, okay, A, B, C, D. But we were doing takes that were 30 minutes at times for that scene. But I think it came out great. I really do like that.
That is hilarious. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys so much. That was a lot of fun to do. I like to do this. This is so extraordinary for me to talk to people who created something, because I'm not a very creative person myself, but I can appreciate what other people do create. So that's also very fun.
Oh, and I want to hear all the stories like you were sharing. I like hearing all the backstories.
You know, these discussions began on a lark, pretty much, improvised, in that the librarian who was going to moderate it at the time said, let's have an online discussion. And I picked out a movie, and I just had this vagrant thought, wonder if I could get the director to join us. And I wrote to her, and her answer, which was repeated by several more directors later in the year, well, I'm stuck at home due to the pandemic, so yes, I have time for your discussion. And the first one, I think my questioning was a little bit rough. It was the first time I'd interviewed anybody, but I got used to it, began to have fun doing it. And now I look forward to these. They're only once a month because I actually do have a life mostly dedicated to watching other movies. But I really look forward to these, and I send out invitations hoping filmmakers will respond. Some I never hear from, but most of them, they're very happy to join us. I'm really amazed at this friendly and outgoing independent filmmaker community.
The odd thing about shooting a film is you do end up with these stories that you can't really tell anyone. Like this is the only venue, and it's another reason why, I hope we do, our goal is to shoot another one. And part of it is, well, you've done one, you've accrued all of this weird esoteric knowledge, and you're picking up these tidbits that it's like, all right, well, you almost have to shoot another one just to put all that stuff to use, right? Otherwise you just have this weird, this
energy that you can't dissipate because you don't have anywhere, no outlet.
There's no outlet for it. It's like, all right, well, I guess I gotta shoot another one to fix all the stuff, or all the lessons I learned to apply those for it's just funny. It's just, yeah, you're right. There's no relevant or normal, environment to share these kind of weird production stories. But a lot of times they're more entertaining than the film.
That's true of some big productions where the making of video is at least as fascinating as the movie itself. There's one of my favorites, Angel A. It's by Luc Besson. The making of video for that film is utterly amazing. You think you had trouble getting permits? He got no permits at all, shooting in downtown Paris. So one thing he had to do was, put his skeleton crew into a van, drive around until they see a spot that's not too crowded. Everybody jumps out, they shoot the scene, and get back in before the police can catch them.
Those are my favorite. Have you ever seen Lost in La Mancha, Hearts of Darkness, the Apocalypse Now one? I think it's Hearts of Darkness. There's also, Burden of Dreams, the Herzog one about Fitzcarraldo. They're always fascinating. I love the those production nightmare documentaries. Those are great.
Yeah, that includes nature documentaries. The one, the BBC series with David Attenborough. If you watch what they have to go through to film, and it blows my mind. Going under the Arctic ice and climbing trees to film the orangutans and sitting there for days. So yeah, it's always. Anyway, thank you guys. I've made some useful notes, and it's good that we have a recording of it. I didn't realize that you can actually watch a recording. The intervention is the ones I missed. I really enjoyed that, and I was hoping to participate, but missed it.
The library is bringing some of the videos back. They also have agreed to send me a backup copy whenever they make a recording. So if there's another calamity, I can help them put it back together. Put it back together. But their whole channel disappeared. Not only are social distancing cinema discussions, but hundreds of community and educational videos made by the librarians all disappeared.
I've never trusted librarians.
Oh my.
I'm kidding, Alexa.
Okay, well, I think that's all I have. Thank you again. And, we'll Well, Anthony can look at the YouTube video, and thank you for coming, Anthony. Thank you, Keith. Really appreciated the session.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you so much,
everyone.
David.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
Good luck in your endeavors. And thank
Thank-
you, organizers.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Alexa.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.